Hello, everyone. This is a quick disclaimer before this episode. I just want to let you know that this is an intense one, and if at any point you are ever feeling overwhelmed, please take a pause, go outside, put your feet in the grass, or get some sun, get connected with nature, or even if you feel the need to, smudge some herbs, protective herbs, if it makes you feel paranoid at all. I am simply trying to share this information to give information to you on how you can better protect yourself as you open up your spiritual practice and open up your psychic abilities, giving you lots of love and light, even as we're talking about this crazy shit. There are triggering topics here, such as psychosis and suicide and spooky ghosts. So this is just a disclaimer about all of that. Take care of yourselves out there. Welcome to Dusk, everyone. I'm your host, Zamira Sosa, a psychic, mystic, and energy worker here to share my experiences, research, and channelings with you in regards to all of this spiritual stuff and random occultish knowledge. Okay, so today is a topic that I'm very, very, very passionate about, and you've already seen the title. Yes, it's about psychic attacks. I have experienced psychic attack for years, until basically probably several months ago where I finally got it to stop. And it was something that I was very ashamed of experiencing for a long time because of being a psychic. I felt like I was bad, I was unhealed, and we're all unhealed. And of course, I'm still doing a lot of work and clearing around my healing. But I created this narrative around psychic attack being something to be ashamed of, and it was really hard for me to talk about with other spiritual people. I was having a lot of intense experiences that I want to share with you today, and like I mentioned before, I actually really enjoy talking about the dark stuff because guess what? Nobody else does, and I'm pretty sure this shame is very deep-rooted in our spiritual community without even realizing it. We focus a lot on love and light, and lately there has been some nod to the shadow, but it's not deep enough. It's not frank enough. I feel like it's very important that I share this new, it's not even new, that I share my experiences with all of this, because psychic attack, I feel, is a huge reason why people stop utilizing spirituality. They stop their paths, and it can be a very intense experience where if you're not sure how to get rid of it and how to start navigating the spiritual realms when you're going through this experience, it can really fuck your brain up. And the saddest part is that it doesn't just fuck your psychic shit up, it fucks your life up. It plays with your life. Whenever I talk about this stuff to other spiritual people, there's always this air of unease. And I always get responses back being like, oh, I don't even talk about this stuff because I don't want to attract it to me. And I just don't, give the dark that power over me. And I totally agree that we are meant to be pillars of light on this earth, and we're meant to be sovereign away from these beings. I think it's really important that we talk about this, because just because we're not talking about this doesn't mean it's not real and that it's not happening. And what people don't understand is that, like I said before, it doesn't affect you just in a psychic level. It affects you in a physical level, on a personal level. Yeah, something I've noticed throughout my path, not only as a psychic, but somebody who practices spirituality and spiritual practices in their everyday, is that the energetic planes affect the physical eventually. I mean, if you believe in manifestation, then that's just how it is. I want to bring way more awareness to this topic because I believe that we can show up as our best selves, as our best psychics, as our best mystics, whenever we know how to protect ourselves. Trying to dawdle around the subject or not talk about it or not delve into the dark to figure out what the fuck is going on and to protect ourselves properly is not going to help us. It's not going to help us to stay blind and pretend like these forces are not out there, because that's exactly how they get to take over your life without you even noticing it and calling it light. There are many cases and many instances where psychics and people who practice divination will be practicing and trying to get information from the spiritual realms, and they don't realize what they're connecting with. They don't realize they're connecting with lower beings or entities that sure will give them some right knowledge, but they'll also give you wrong knowledge. And they don't realize that when you're practicing divination, you're opening yourself up to an entirely different realm than you're used to. And once you open those gates up, it affects everything in your life, which can be extremely beautiful. Don't get me wrong, especially whenever you're speaking to your spirit guides and you are speaking with the light and you're letting the light guide you. It can also be an intense experience because of your own personal healing journey. But there are also other things that we need to protect ourselves from. And so, yeah, let's talk about psychic attack. I do want to preface this by saying that a lot of this knowledge has come from my own experience and what I have learned over the past several months to protect myself. If any of this knowledge is something I have learned from somebody else besides my own path, then I'll let you know. Okay, so I'm going to define psychic attack for you and show you the symptoms and what basically happens, along with some stories that I have that are interesting, a little spooky, but interesting, and how I've been able to alleviate psychic attack and remove it from my life pretty much completely. Let's start off. What is psychic attack? It's exactly what it sounds like. You are being attacked with negative energy from the psychic field, and it affects you not only energetically, but physically. The source can come from literally anywhere. It could come from another human, or it could come from another entity. This episode is very especially dedicated for divination newbies, new spiritual girlies, basically anybody who practices divination pretty intensely, anybody who's practicing with their psychic abilities and their psychic gifts, perhaps even those who are in the depths of practicing meditation a lot. If you're those kinds of people, you are going to be inviting various energies into your life. And like I said, a lot of these energies can be leveraged for good. They can do beautiful wonders in your life and give you direction and assistance and help. And that's really beautiful and an experience that I believe can change the world. There is also a flip side to all of it. And that is that if you are naive, or which I've been there, and that's why I'm making this episode to help you out. If you are practicing without the right protective measures, then it can start to affect your life in ways that feel like they're way out of your control. So I want to talk a little bit about my experience with psychic attack in particular. And I want you to really think about if this sounds like anything you have experienced. And if you have experienced this episode is definitely for you and will help you out, okay? Number 1, negative thoughts playing over and over, especially ones that do not sound like you. Negative things you've never come close to thinking about randomly pop up. This has happened to me many times, obviously. I especially noticed it whenever I started opening up my psychic gifts a lot. I was meditating every day, starting to get into the cadence of that, and really starting to connect with other spirits on other realms, trying to see auras. I was really opening up my third eye, perhaps in an unsafe manner. I was doing all that I could to expand myself psychically without really doing the inner work needed to get to that level. And my gifts were opening up. I was seeing a lot of shiz, good and bad, and it was insane. It was like living in an LSD trip, basically. And for me, it was really fun, but there was also a dark side. I would be given excruciating paranoia. So if you have excruciating paranoia, you might be under psychic attack, okay? And during these paranoia attacks, the psychic attack, I would notice that I would hear voices very, very vividly. I go to therapy, so I know I'm not schizophrenic. Though, I mean, this shit sounds crazy. So bear with me, okay? But this doesn't happen anymore, luckily. It kind of happens, but I'll tell you why. I know the trigger. Okay. Anyway, I would literally hear voices telling me to kill myself. You should kill yourself. Go kill yourself. And I remember the first time I experienced this. It was probably one of the first times it really clicked for me that, oh, your thoughts are literally not your own. Your thoughts and negative thoughts could be spirits talking to you. Now, I know you're probably like, oh, this girl's batshit crazy or whatever. Look, you're the one listening to a spiritual podcast. If this is not your thing, then you can leave. Leave with love, okay? But yeah, so mean spirits will tell you to kill yourself. And I remember distinctly in that moment when I was going through this paranoia and this like emotional breakdown, it was about something completely different. It wasn't in regards to psychic stuff. It was like just something going on in my personal life. And I started hearing that voice and I just sat up and really thought to myself, like, I have been through hell and back. I did not have a super easy childhood, and somehow I managed to be so fucking positive, like so toxically positive all throughout that time. And even though I wanted to kill myself at times, I definitely didn't. And I never thought like, oh, you should kill yourself, like I don't know how I had the mental fortitude back then that I don't have as much now. But that was the case. That was going on. And so I knew, because of all that experience that I've had with myself, that, wait a second, this does not sound like me. That's not my voice. One, it's not my voice. Two, I would never think that. I've already been through hell. This is the best I've ever felt in my life. And I'm going through a rough time now, but I've been through worse and I didn't kill myself then. So why would I kill myself now? It was at that moment that I realized that, yeah, your thoughts are not your own. And perhaps even if they're very, very negative, it could be, it's from a lower vibrational spirit. This is something that's well known throughout spirituality. So yeah, that's a thing. So keep an eye out for that if you feel like you're under psychic attack. You'll have intense brain fog. You literally feel like you're sleepwalking through life. You feel very fatigued and you don't have much energy and you just kind of always feel down. It just feels like there's this gray cloud over your life. Definitely feels depression-esque. Another thing, and this is a huge one, are your dreams. Are you having nightmares like almost every night? And here's the thing, psychic attacks, like dreams of psychic attack, are way different than regular nightmares. Human nightmares, something really bad happens, and you're like, oh, that fucking sucks, like that spooked me, but it was fine. Psychic attack dreams are insane. It is scary, okay? You're confronting demons, there's some icky shit going on, like it feels dark, it feels fucked up. It doesn't feel human. Something about it is very, very fear-based and very entirely different than just a normal bad dream. I remember, actually I have a memory, whenever I was little, I would have really, really fucked up nightmares a lot of the time, actually. And I remember even as I was little, I would like feel out my room and be like, am I feeling ghosts right now? I would see things kind of in my third eye. And I don't want to say that like for sure, but I felt like as a child, I was playing with my psychic abilities a little bit and not really realizing it. And yeah. And then as I would try and open up those gifts, I would start getting really fucked up dreams of being chased by like demon people and like crazy shit that I don't want to get into. So yeah, I've been under psychic attack for a very, very long time. So it feels really empowering being able to stop it. Another thing that you may be experiencing is feeling really spooked at night, like scared. Like I'm low-key a little bit shaky. I feel like something's here and it doesn't feel nice. So here's the thing about ghosts. Okay. I love ghost experiences. I love experiencing the paranormal. Yes, I have seen like apparitions and heard voices and passed ghosts on, and it's been really cool. But I've also had negative confrontations with certain entities. And here's the thing. Ghost and paranormal activity feels fairly comfortable. It feels fairly natural if you're used to it. If you're not used to it, yes, you'll get a little spooked no matter what. But there is this air of like, oh, well, that just happened. That just happened. And I don't know how to explain it, but it happened. Whereas with lower vibrational entities, you feel suffocated. The air feels dense and you literally feel fearful, okay? These lower vibe spirits intentionally want to make you feel fearful. So if you're feeling very, very scared out of your mind and you've had psychic or paranormal experiences before where you've had ghosts come along and it's been fine, then chances are that's a lower vibe entity that you are in contact with. I do have a tip and trick to help you get rid of them, okay? In real time. So I'll give you that tip in a moment, but let me finish like what my experience of psychic attack is and what you might be feeling. Another thing is extreme self-doubt and extreme resistance to going down and embracing your true path. You'll do everything you can to not embrace your true path. If you are dealing with that, you could be under psychic attack. I will say the tips, or not the tips, but the experiences before this one are more indicative of whether or not you're experiencing psychic attack. But this one is more of like you could be under psychic attack. And then this one, it goes especially for anybody who practices divination, especially for other people or themselves fairly often trying to improve their psychic abilities. It is incorrect and fear-based psychic information during divination or utilizing your psychic abilities. Do you get readings and you feel really, really awful? You feel anxious? You feel like there's no way this could be true. There's no way. Like, what do you mean? Like, something about it makes you feel afraid and it makes you feel really low about yourself. Those readings are possibly coming from lower vibe spirits. Let's take a quick I invite source light break. I invite source light. I invite source light. I invoke the diamond white light. Okay, we're good. So, little reminder, whenever you're taking in some of these dense topics, it's really good to kind of like ground yourself and take your time and do what you can to reconnect with the light. Okay, reconnect. Yeah, there's a difference between fear-based psychic information and psychic information that just like bums you out a bit. Like, I just had a reading today that I gave myself that bummed me the fuck out, but there was a sense of calm. There was a sense of divine connection. There was a sense of like my guides were there being like, here, it's okay. With these other readings, you feel fucked. You feel alone and scared. If you feel like really anxious getting intuitive information or certain information, there is a chance that it's because you are not taking the protective measures needed to connect with the correct spirits, or the spirits that do have your best interest in mind. Keep in mind, right? It's like dealing with humans. We have to treat spirits sort of the same way. There are good and bad people out there. There are good people for you and bad people for others. So the same thing kind of goes with spirits. This is a huge reason why I wanted to share this information too, because then it'll make psychics more accurate, and it'll make all the information that we give to others more real and helpful. And empowering to embrace the light rather than accidentally channeling the wrong energy. You could be doing certain things that do bring you psychic attacks and makes you more of a vibrational match to it. So I'm going to go over these things before we get into how to alleviate your psychic attack and experience. Because if I give you kind of a view of what could be bringing these experiences to you, that can help you kind of remove these experiences from your life or stop doing these certain things, so that way you can create more of a barrier between you and the dark. The first thing is not particularly something to avoid, but it is something that you have to have a pretty good practice around, and that is practicing divination or any sort of tool that opens you up to the spirit world. So this makes me think a lot about old ghost shows, and how, do you remember in all of these old paranormal shows, there would always be so many episodes about somebody taking out the Ouija board, and like pretty much your reaction to it is, oh, here we go again. They're fucking idiots. They took out the Ouija board. Like, they should have seen it coming. It's this Ouija paranoia. Oh my god, my cat's playing with a bird, and it's like a toy bird. This Ouija paranoia is kind of what I'm talking about, okay? The Ouija is a tool. Ouija. Why am I saying Ouija? Ouija. The Ouija, right? It's Ouija. I don't know. You know exactly what I'm talking about, though. The Ouija is just another divination tool, just like tarot cards, pendulums, like rods. All of those things are simply divination tools to assist you in utilizing your own psychic abilities, okay? But the thing is that with these tools, you have to know how to clear them, you have to know how to utilize your psychic gifts, and you have to know how to turn them on and off, and you have to know how to protect yourself, and all of this other stuff that comes along with it. You have to know about all of this stuff in order to practice it well and efficiently and connect you to the right spirits and connect you to the right information. If you're practicing divination or your psychic abilities without any protective measure or without the right steps, honestly, which everybody has a different practice around it, and that's totally fine. You can construct it however you want. It really is all up to, are you experiencing psychic attack or not? If you are experiencing psychic attack, something may need to be tweaked. Otherwise, you should be good. But we have to realize that divination opens portals for any type of spirit to enter your space and talk to you. At times, lower vibrational entities are like straight up about who they are. Other times they want to trick you. Other times they'll be like, I'm an angel, and then actually be fucking evil, And that's something that we have to really understand as people who are practicing this work, is that not every spirit is going to be telling you the truth. They're not required to at all. They lie, just like people do. And so we need to be very cognizant of that fact and realize that going in. Another thing of what brings along psychic attack is refusing to live your purpose and living in misalignment. So staying in certain situations that you know are not good for you, staying with people who you know are not good for you, doing really bad habits over and over and over again, like just knowing you're doing something that you're not supposed to be doing. being a bad person, lying, blah, 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 all of that stuff. All of that is going to bring psychic attack to your path, or it might. Okay, I don't want to say anything definitively, but it might. It could be something that you want to look into. Like, are you living in alignment with who you are? Are you speaking your truth? Are you hanging out with people who bring the best out of you? All of that really matters, because if you aren't living in your truth or in alignment with who you are a vibrational match to misalignment, and misalignment could be a vibrational match to fucking evil. Drugs. I have a lot of experience of being a psychic and playing around with marijuana, and I have misused marijuana a lot in my past. I used to smoke every day for like 4 years, and now I just like pop an edible. Sometimes it's once a week, and then sometimes it's whatever. I haven't cut it out of my life completely, but I do have some experiences that's like, okay, but you can't be doing this all the time. And of course, it's not just marijuana. Other drugs that are misused can also open you up to lower vibrational entities, and can also just, fuck with you a little bit. So basically, for my case, this is my experience with marijuana. So of course it does not have to be your experience. And I find that there's a lot of people who agree with me and a lot of people who do not agree with me, which is so fair. Like, this is just my experience, and I'm here to hold space for you if this is your experience as well. If it's not, I love that it works for you. Go off, bitch. Like, 420 toke. Like, that's great. But we need to talk about this. So whenever I have delved into some research around marijuana, it can, and there's a lot more research coming out, that marijuana can trigger sort of psychosis, okay? And this, for me, is a sign of psychic attack. Like, if you're going through a psychosis only when smoking marijuana, then maybe you got greened out. Especially if you're greened out, it's possible that you're opening yourself up to psychic attack. If you end up using to the point where you're having like a spiritual psychosis, like a psychic psychosis thing, or psychic attack or psychosis, then you may feel really brain foggy the next days, or feel really down the next days, or you are hearing a lot of negative talk about yourself from yourself while you're high or after it's done. It's because you've kind of invited that energy into your life, which again, my own experience, but there will need to be some clearing that's done in order to get rid of those things, which is absolutely possible. But that's kind of my experience with that. I do want to say that it's only if you're overdoing it. For me, in my experience, it's only if I'm overdoing it, then I'll get those really not so fun experiences. Though, for some people, that happens every time, especially for the anxious babies. Some people are able to will themselves out of it. Love that for them. Not for me. It just gets too intense. Like, I start hearing voices and stuff. Talking about this stuff is intense, okay? It's intense. So take care of yourself. Like, sage the fuck out of your room right now. Like, just sage your fucking room. Sage yourself, okay? Sage yourself! So, of course, though, drugs are not bad. I'm not saying drugs are bad. Avoid. Just don't use marijuana to be psychic. Like, if you want to be a psychic, you have to know how to do it yourself. Don't let it be a crutch for you. Like, everybody who smokes knows, okay, that if you're doing it every day, it might become an emotional crutch. Oh, you had a bad day? Smoke, And everybody knows that's not okay. That's not good for you. So why would it be good for you if you're trying to open up your psychic abilities? That's like the worst. It's the worst thing you can do, honestly. Look, some people can do that. Some people can do that and kind of have like this psychonaut type of experience with it. And as long as they're doing it controlled and in a way that's not bringing psychic attack to them, that's fine. That's their life. However, this is my experience, and I do not recommend. For some spiritual support, I'm gonna get my Virgin fucking Mary candle out. So this actually reminds me that I want to talk about this excerpt really quick from this article I found about people who go through adverse psychedelic experiences. There's people all over the world who experience really great stuff, really great divine connection and spiritual connection with certain plants. Others experience opposite things. I'm going to read this out to you. So background, just a little bit of background. There's this lady, Chloe, who was tripping like almost every week while reading about complex PTSD, and she was utilizing it to heal herself as nothing else was working for her. And here's what happened. Chloe felt lighter, blissful, full of love for herself and others. She also felt her worldview shift from nihilism to a more spiritual frame, as she experienced unusual phenomena like moments of synchronicity, meeting ancestor spirits, and regressing to past lives. She came to see the cosmos as guided by a higher force. Beautiful, right? And she went through what she describes as a shamanic awakening. During one trip, she started involuntarily singing, feeling like her voice was clearing and purifying her spirit. But then she took a giant dose of magic mushrooms, maybe perhaps something she wasn't ready for. And then, quote starts, "I felt something inside of me in my ass cheek, anchoring me down to the ground and stopping me from spreading my wings. It felt like a parasite. I realized it was something spread throughout my body, and my voice was trying to get rid of it and eject it. I said, 'Oh my God, you're a parasite.' That moment, it appeared before me in the room, a sort of purple blob, like a tumor, with all these thin tentacles coming out of it. Ugh, dude, when I read this in the cafe, I was like, what the fuck? It was a female demon. Female demon. At the end of each tentacle was something she used to distract people so she could feed off of them. Alcohol, partying, porn, Instagram. When I got distracted by the tentacles, she would disappear, but I'd keep track of her and not let her get away. I realized she would dangle these things in front of people and then lay eggs in them. She laid the eggs through people's trauma, and then they wound others. It felt like me versus her. Oh, and I saw 3333, y'all. She laid the eggs through people's trauma and then they wound others. It felt like me versus her. And suddenly I was channeling Gaia and she was screaming, 'Get off my planet!' like it was Ripley versus the alien. That week, I'd be doing gardening and found loads of slugs in the roots of my strawberry plants. And I've been having trouble with growing mushrooms because there was contamination everywhere. Parasites were showing up in my life. They were my biggest phobia: ticks, leeches, fleas, and tapeworms." Yeah, that's insane. But people have these experiences. And look, I know I'm highlighting it as if it's a much bigger problem than it is. It's not. We just need to be boosting some awareness around it because we need support. Like, we need support with all of this stuff. Another thing of my experience of what could be bringing along psychic attack is avoiding shadow work. If you're not doing your inner work, if you're not being self-aware enough or reflective enough, or perhaps not even those things, but not being able to integrate the things that you're learning and what you're trying to heal from, then you may be an energetic match to psychic attack. The reason for this is because you're allowing lower emotions to create, and wounds essentially, to create stories in your life, but also to dictate your life. And that's essentially an invitation to lower beings into your field and space. Just inviting stories that don't work for you in your life literally are contracts with certain spirits. And we do not need to be afraid of them. Okay, I'm not here to boost fear. I'm just here to tell you how it is. And there is a way to get rid of this, honey. So do not worry. I got you. I got you. You just have to stick with me here. Just stick with me. Negative thoughts or negative things that you think about yourself are basically you creating some sort of agreement with a lower being to bring that energy into your life. That's just how it is. Like, if you are doing the opposite and speaking good things about yourself, you are making agreements with higher spirits that want to bring you what you are asking for. If it's the opposite, it's the opposite. This is my experience of what brings along a psychic attack, and things that you could be doing that could be making you a vibrational match to it. So with the things that I just mentioned, make sure you are just being observant and honest with yourself on whether or not these things are true for you. If that is happening for you, I just saw 44, woo! And that should help you make kind of a game plan for how to do things with the intention of standing in the light. Finally, how to alleviate your psychic attack. This is all based off of my own experiences and what I have gone through, okay? So the first thing, I actually made a YouTube video about this in the past. It may be privated now, but there was a moment in time where I was confronted with a shadow person, very, very too close for comfort. As I woke up at 3 a.m., they were literally standing like a foot away from me in bed, and it was very terrifying for me, and I couldn't get rid of them. I asked them to leave. I told them they couldn't be there, and they would not leave. So the only thing I felt like I could do during that time was sing Psalm 23. It is a prayer, it's scripture in the Bible that I actually learned in choir. And as I sang the song, immediately I felt angelic presences come in, or divine presences come in, and the shadow person literally bubbled away. So what I recommend is that you have a powerful protection prayer, whether it is bound in Christianity or not. It doesn't matter, as long as you're acknowledging a higher creator or the source to assist and protect you. Okay, that is a really great tip for if you're going through the psychic attack right in that moment in time and you don't know what to do. It's staring at you in the face and you've got to clean it up. House and human clearings, smudging and energy work of the space. Remove any entities that are trying to linger in your space. Make sure that whenever you're doing this, you're not just clearing yourself, but you're clearing other people in your household, because what will happen is, and I've experienced this with not only myself and other people I've given clearings to that I am trying to improve and make sure I can eradicate everything, is it'll jump from person to person if you're clearing only one person in the household. So you really want to do your best to clear the entity for real, and the making sure you're protecting everybody in the household if you are really trying to get rid of these adverse experiences. There's many ways that you can do this. You can do this through baths, essential oils, energy work, certain herbs, and smudging, and all of this stuff. If you want a really well documented way on how you can start to practice energy work and clear your house and yourself, I do have a psychic protection energetic guide on my website. If you have an ad blocker or a pop-up blocker, it may not show up, but all you have to do is sign up for it. Yes, it is for an email list. Girl, I do a lot of work here. Okay, and if you want the guide, you're going to have to be on my email list. It is what it is. You can always unsubscribe. But yeah, you can get that through my website. It's actually a really great free resource on how you can actually keep the energy clean in your house, finally, so that way you don't have to keep on dealing with these awful experiences. Okay, go ahead and get that on heyurpsychic.com, heyurpsychic.com, Hey You're Psychic with the your as a you are. You can also alleviate psychic attacks and remove them through emotional and mental breakthroughs in your healing journey. It does not have to all be spiritual and esoteric and mystical. If you are doing inner work, if you're doing any type of inner work, whether it's your inner child or shadow work or whatever, it is possible that is not even possible. It is an avenue to clear certain things within yourself. And it's actually very, very recommended, especially for people in the psychic community, which I'll talk about a little bit more later. Just a little tangential story to back this claim up, because this is based off of my experience, is that for so long I felt really bad about having psychic attacks, and I tried opening up about it. That caused me to really run away from the problem instead of facing it head on. And so it wasn't until I started facing the entities that were bothering me and facing the adverse experiences that I was able to actually remove them. So because of all the shame and because I felt bad and like as if I was a bad person and I deserved all of the energy that was coming my way that was negative, I wasn't dealing with the problem. I was just suffering because I thought I deserved it. So instead of that, I decided to handle it head on. And basically what was happening was there was a specific entity that was in my dreams, like literally being a dick to me every night. He was just, he was spooky. He was spooky looking. Eventually, instead of just letting him get away with everything he did in my dreams, which I don't quite remember exactly what he would do. All I know is that he would terrorize me and I would always try and run away. Instead of running away, I faced him head on. And I said, I'm about to fight you. And I literally fought that bitch. And he got really, really mad. He was actually very upset that I was fighting back, and it was a very intense dream. It was actually a dream within a dream. And then he finally left me alone. That's how I stopped my psychic attack nightmares, was just being able to have something click inside of me, face things head on instead. And that's a huge other way that you're able to get rid of psychic attack, is facing it head on. Do not run away from it. I know it's a very confusing experience, and it's an experience that you can easily feel bad and shameful about, because anytime you bring this stuff around in this spiritual community, there's like, I'm all love and light. Like, I don't even, like, this isn't a part of my world. When in reality, we could be running away from really important stuff that we're supposed to deal with, okay? And for some people, psychic attack isn't so blatant and obvious and dark. For some people, it's just that they keep attracting certain negative energies in their life of things not working out, and they refuse to look at it, so it keeps on replaying itself over and over again. So for some people, it's more blatant, like with me, and perhaps you, especially if you are a psychic beach. Focusing on the light, sending love, and hugging your entities is not enough. We need to break the stigma of not knowing how to protect ourselves in these situations. This can help protect you. Another thing that can really, really help is being able to have very, very firm boundaries, spiritual boundaries with your spiritual team, just so that way you're better able to identify, okay, so what is in the light and what is crossing my boundaries. If something is crossing your boundaries, chances are it is not an entity you want to work with. Another thing is having better protection in your divination practices. It doesn't matter what it is, you have to have some form of protection. It can be anything you want. Okay, but it's different than cleansing, it's different than purifying, it's protection, okay? Sometimes a bubble of white light is not enough. That is a quote actually from my mentor, Lauren, who I will be talking about because she has helped me a lot with this process as well. You need to find some way to protect yourself in divination, and it will pay off for you, okay? because then you're able to better connect with the correct entities, the correct spirits and energies in order to get the information you're looking for. And lastly, on my end, it's living in more alignment with your truth. If you were constantly not living in alignment with your truths, things you already know you need to do, and you just refuse to do it, you are opening yourself up to energies that do not align with you. So it's really important that you're doing that as well. So let's talk about my mentor really quick. She has been such a blessing in helping me fine-tune my protective measures to make sure that I am not being psychically attacked anymore. At first, I was able to do some on my own, and then things would come back. So she really helped me fine-tune it. And this is actually really well explained in her YouTube video. I encourage you to look at her podcast and her YouTube video because she has a way more in-depth view about healing, looking at the shadow world, the underworld, and being able to clear things. She is a fantastic representation of what the spiritual community needs in terms of being able to just be real and clear this shit. So she was talking about how in her video, I very much urge you to watch it and not just take it all from me. But if your inner world and chakra system has a lot of blocks and gunk, then you're going to be a vibrational match to psychic attack. So you want to do what you can to clear that energy, and you can best do that with healers and certain practitioners, or even yourself, to get rid of all of that debris. You have to be able to clear your energy through all of the energy bodies and the chakra system to strengthen your protection. So it's not just doing this, it's also taking all of these other protective measures that will kind of reinforce each other and make things more powerfully sturdy and airtight. Okay, and it'll just get better and better. I channeled a bit of information on protection as well. And it's just a bit of a wrap up on all of the stuff. I really hope it helps you, okay? And this, of course, this doesn't just go for people who are practicing psychic work or meditating a lot. This can go for people who are just experiencing bad energy and they want to be able to clear it. All of this applies for you as well. Sorry, I didn't mean to make it sound so like, oh, it's only us. I'm just saying you're probably more prone to it if you are practicing all this stuff. Some channelings on protection. Really examine your body before divinating, before starting to talk to your guides, before trying to open up your psychic abilities. Examine what your weak spots are and what your body's asking you for, and strengthen those spots before you jump into your reading. So a lot of times I'll feel some anxiety before my reading. If I'm feeling that anxiety, I ask myself, okay, where's this coming from? And what can I do to help it? Sometimes anxiety isn't just anxiety, of course. There are other times where it's your body trying to tell you something. And for me, just before opening the session for me today, and for me, before I was doing a reading for myself today, I started feeling that little bit of anxiety, and I was like, okay, what do I need to do? My sacral chakra is feeling a little fucked up because I was trying to massage it and move it, and it just doesn't feel right. It feels really tight right now. And so I was like, okay, do a quick thing before you're reading. You don't have to of course it's recommended to do clearing work and all of this examining. Is there a limiting belief here? What's going on here? That is totally recommended. But if it needs to be something quick before you're reading, for instance, me, I know that what really helps my sacral chakra release a bit is clove essential oil. Clove essential oil is really great for relaxing the area, removing what's not needed. And it instantly made me feel more settled and more confident in the reading that was about to come up. So just overall, examine the energetic state that you're in before you start reading, and really do your best to make sure that you are at a certain confidence in your reading. So that way you're able to do the best you can and connect with the right things and make sure that your protective measures stay up. And if you're not sure what that is, investigate, especially during a reading as well. If something feels a little off, if you're getting something, a message that feels a little off, investigate. Ask questions. Are there any imposter spirits? Is there anything that is not standing in the light here? Remove it. Ask your guides to remove it, and really make sure that you're constantly keeping it clean and airtight. And sometimes, yes, things slip through. That does not have to be the case. The better and better you get with all of this stuff. But sometimes it is the case, and you need to work with it. You need to face it head on. Do not look away from it. It does not mean you're bad at what you do. It doesn't mean you made a mistake or a oopsie. You just have to face it, clear it, move on, get rid of it. You could even do that through like burning your herb or whatever. Last but not least, something that came through my channel, but I've also noticed a lot of other spiritual practitioners mention, is that you have to have the confidence. You have to have the empowered stance that you have the reins on how this is going to go. And you have the power to clear what you need to clear at that moment in time. You are the one who directs what is happening in that reading. Whatever, like, you are sovereign. It is a matter of walking through the spirit world, standing in your own power. This is the hugest part, okay? You have that power. If you didn't know, now you know. You have that power. Inevitably, you have that light within you, okay? Practice that. Embody that. Practice standing in your power, because that is going to be the best way that you can face the spirit world as your own individual and sovereign self, in order for you to not be fucked over by some tricksters. This is the bare minimum. Okay, I think I will wrap the episode up there. Just a reminder, if you really liked this episode and if it meant a lot to you, please let me know in the comments, or DM me, or follow me on Instagram, subscribe, rate the podcast if you like it so far, if you like what you're hearing. And if you're interested, I do give psychic readings, so head to my website if that's something you're interested in, and I'd love to work with you. But I want to say thank you so much. This was so much fun. Please go outside and take your shoes off, relax, look outside, pray, do what you need to reconnect back to divine energies. Because what we talked about was dense and spooky, y'all. It is. And it's important to maintain a balance, okay? I'm sending so much love to you all. And I can't wait to see you in the next episode.